Alright, listen up everyone. They've announced that the technical regulations are changing for next season. Now there's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful, so let's figure out how to mitigate this. Drivers, take a look at the developments we have and let us know what you want to invest in protecting. Alright everyone, let's get on top of this. I know we were expecting some new developments this weekend, but some of them have failed quality control. Make sure you indicate what you'd like redeveloped via the workstation.
Christ, I mean, talk about a double dose of bad luck, as it were. So we get our technical specification change for the next season. You'd seen an email earlier in the season about what was changing, and it was a right kick to the gut to find out it was both the aero and the chassis tree. So I now need to invest and protect 10 upgrades, 3 of which are major upgrades for next season. If we don't do that, then we lose that progress on that tree, and it basically knocks us down the pecking order, which is what I want to avoid. So, and obviously us being the Force India, our power unit's already pretty great, so our aero and our chassis is where we need to improve. So now I need to basically stop development for a few rounds and concentrate on actually getting the car prepped and not fixed. We don't lose the upgrades from now, we would lose them from next season. So we've still got that performance. So I've already got just over 1,000 resource points, so thankfully I can protect a big old bulk of those already. Doing the math, I've basically invested every point I have so far into the rear downforce of the car, so that's protected, that's good to go. So that's 3 out of the 10 upgrades done. Just need to focus on doing the rest of those before the end of the season if I want to keep that progress. But the Singapore Grand Prix, interesting track. Certainly didn't go well for the Force India boys in real life, that's for sure. And now we have to try and drive it. And the car, weird. Very floaty. Didn't really feel connected to the circuit at any point. This, I would say, is the worst the car has felt since Britain. Where the car just didn't really work. And this, again, the same. Just the car just did not want to get turned in. You see it there in the preview footage, the cinematic footage there. Just did not want to go into the hairpin at all. And, yeah, just issues with the car. So it's going to be tough. I don't really enjoy Singapore. Haven't really over the past couple of years. I enjoyed it more when it first came out, and like in the games of like 2010 through to like 2013. I thought Singapore was a really fun circuit. But in the recent games, and definitely last year and this year, I've struggled for pace around this circuit. But nonetheless, that means we're going to have to put all that aside and focus on qualifying. So here we go. Hypersoft tyres on the Pink Panther itself. Into turn 1, missing the apex and then having to get it rotated for turn 3. And you see some of that floatiness. Had to slow the car down more than I initially wanted to as we charge out of that through 4 and then the long right-hander of 5. Took too much curb and that pushed the car out wide and meant I didn't get too much acceleration. I'm running 10 wings, loads of downforce, cranked it all on because the car, like I say, it just did not want to behave through the corner. So I had to crank on a load of wing and that sacrificed speed in a straight line, which is of course the strength of the Force India. But you see there on my first qualifying lap, mistake made, knocked the front wing, and that then is obviously going to impact me for the rest of the lap. We'll stay on board though to see what we can do. Hulkenberg setting the pace initially on a 36.9 with through the old Singapore sling. I do miss that chicane there, but had to be reprofiled because there were some colossal accidents. Crossed the bridge into the hairpin. Car now with reduced front end grips. Not want to turn in. We're still pushing as hard as we can. Singapore burns the ERS quite a lot. Only 6/10 down on Hulkenberg so far during the lap. Now we're back up to hot lap mode for the rest of the lap on the ERS. And now we come through to the right-hander and then pushing it as hard as we could. And then understeering, had to take a lift off the throttle and then back on it through to the final sector. Just the curbs are dreaded or deadly and just awful. They just want to spit you off. I tried obviously riding them as much as I could to mitigate as much time as possible, but yeah, no, they're dangerous on this year's game, specifically around this circuit. So understeering through the final double left-hander, and it's 1.1 down on Hulkenberg's time as we cross the line. Puts us P4 for now. Hulkenberg then did a 36.0, so I went out for a second lap. I'm pushing hard, my front wing is still intact, I'm down on my delta, but I figured I could make up the time until I hit the wall. So that was, yeah, that was frustrating. Went out again, hit the wall, didn't improve. Daniel Ricciardo with a Red Bull on pole position. Max Verstappen lines up second place. Raikkonen and Vettel set the identical time, but because Raikkonen said it first, he will line up P3, then the Mercedes 5th and 6th with Hülkenberg there. Alonso up in P8, nice and strong. Sainz and Perez round out the top 10.
The 3.1 miles of the Marina Bay Street circuit wind its way around some of the iconic landmarks here in the heart of Singapore. 23 corners in total, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, making this one of the most technical circuits on the Formula One calendar, with just 47% of the lap taken at full throttle.
You're lower on the grid than we wanted. See to it that we improve throughout the race.
So yeah, a bit of a mixed up intro. My game glitched out a little bit. I actually recorded practice and quali on a different day to the race, and there was actually a patch in between, so that's why the livery of the car now on board looks different for the race than it did qualifying. But starting P19, initially not much between the 1 and the 2 stops, so I figured go for the 2 and see what the race holds as we have 5 red lights in Singapore. Lights are out and away we go. So we're starting on the ultra soft tyre. Reason I did that, it gives us the option to change for a 1 stop or a 2 stop, but we go into turn 1 now. Nice and cautious, try not to hit anyone. We initially lost a place, we're past Salvers. Now I'm trying to navigate my way past the Toro Rossos. Hartley's got me on traction. Can we try and hold it around the outside? Bit of contact with Brendan Hartley. Had to turn out the corner, then turn back into it now as we go out of the right-hander. And then Hartley, this is where, like I said, in qualifying, I've cranked on so much downforce. I'm losing time in a straight line. Can we try and stick it behind Brendan Hartley? What can we do down the inside of the following corner? Hartley tries to turn in, holds the corner quite nicely, but then open it up. And Van Dorn very early on the brakes behind Sergei Sorokin. So Van Dorn left the door open. We dive down the middle there. So the tyres for this weekend are Hypers, Ultras and soft tyre. Again, they split the tyre strategy. So a lot of cars down here starting on the soft compound tyre. And like I said, we're on the Ultra soft to allow me a flexible strategy. Sorokin very slow on corner exit. Then just turned in on me, chopped off the front. I'm surprised I didn't get any damage off of that there. But now we're going to make a move into the hairpin on Sergei Sorokin. Open the door. I initially turned in way too early, so I had to open up the steering and then get back in. So up into P14 from P19. Good start. Now we've got to try and utilise the ultra soft tyre and try and see if what we can do and mix up against the big boys up in front. Stroll still ahead of us. Alonso down to P12, frustratingly, from P8. But we basically are in contention and trying to see what can I do as recovery. Can I get into the points? As Stroll is very slow off the double left-hander, but he's just got less downforce than me. And I'm going to try and sit in his slipstream. Are we going to try and make a move into turn 1? No, we are not close enough. But Stroll in the Williams and on the soft compound tyre is very weak in Sector 1, and that's where I was noticing that I was going to be able to pass him. So essentially what I need to hope I can do is be very quick through the first 4 corners and then just be as close as possible in the slipstream and DRS down this particular straight. But Stroll, just like I said, I'm carrying so much downforce, my straight line speed is impeded, so I just needed to sit behind the Canadian, wait for him to make a mistake and open the door to let me through. So end of lap 3 now, into the double left-hander. I've turned in far too early, but it's meant I'm tucked up quite nicely. I've got DRS on the main straight versus Stroll. I'm in the slipstream. We're not really closing, and we're going to make a big banzai moving to turn 1. Stroll came across. It was a half-hearted move, and the Stroll was slower than I expected into the braking zone, and that sort of, you know, made a bit of contact. And now we've got a safety car at the start of lap 4 here, so it's going to help me with my particular ultra soft tyre wear, carry them a bit further before potentially swapping to the soft compound tyre. I still, at this stage of the Grand Prix, wasn't 100% sure on my strategy. But you hear that Ericsson out of the Grand Prix, and that's obviously happened in the first sector in a big old cluster of cars. And our teammate in the pits, a lot of cars are in the pits actually. So these are the drivers that were carrying the Hypersoft tyre. They've only gone about 5 laps in the Grand Prix, and they've all made their first pit stop now. And they're going to be sitting behind us. Now they're either going to switch to softs or ultras. That put us up into P4 from P14. And that sort of confirmed for me and told me the 1 stop's the way to go around here because you're already P4. It's a Haas 1-2 as Magnussen leads Grosjean. Then you've got Lance Stroll in the Williams. Then me in 4th place on the ultra soft tyre. I'm running the softest compound available in the top 5. The Sergei Sorokin there in the Williams is P5. We go into turn 1. We now just need to try and keep up behind Stroll and then pass him, like I said, as soon as possible. I don't know if we're going to be able to get the Haas cars. They might be just out of our reach. And we're now getting a new strategy from GF. We've got a lot of fuel and they're offering the 1 stop. And this is the point where I actually confirm it. I hadn't got around to doing so as of yet, but this is where I agreed. Yep, one stop's going to be the strategy to go. We've got a lot of fuel, a lot of VRS. We're going to try and burn that now and try and get past Lance Stroll, because right now he is holding me up. The two Haas cars are getting away, and if we can get past Stroll and quicker than him in the first and middle sector, we're not really working out too well. Our car's just not working well in the final sector, but Stroll just a bit too quick down that straight. Is he going to leave the door open for a big lunge into the right-hander? You're damn right he is. I've taken a bit too much curb, nearly got into the Williams. Stroll fights back. Bit of contact between the two cars, and it's like Perez and Sirotkin from the real-life Grand Prix, only it's myself and Lance Stroll. He tries into the Singapore sling, brakes early. We're going to hold it all the way around the outside. In fact, the understeer helped me on that occasion to just help swing the car wide, bring it round ahead of Stroll, and that is us up into P3. I actually went one lap longer than expected and coming at the end of lap 10 to change to the soft compound tyres. So what are the Force India boys going to be able to do in the pit stop? 2.4 by them, another fantastic stop by the Force India boys, and now we've got 20 laps to go on the soft tyre. We've got multiple cars already at the Grand Prix, so we're going to exit P17, stone dead last, but look at Sainz. Sainz has made a pit stop already, and he's on the ultra soft. Sainz already has another pit stop to make, and he's stuck in traffic. So similar to the actual, again I'm referring to the real life Grand Prix, there's going to be faster cars on faster tyres stuck in traffic. So I need to get my foot down and lap quick in clean air. Leclerc is in, Hartley is in, both for another set of ultra softs. And those guys started on the soft tyre, so they have now committed to a two-stop strategy. We've got more cars in the pits at the end lap 14 while I was just pushing as hard as I could. All now fitted the soft tyre, so all those guys are now going to go to the end of the Grand Prix, but we don't have to pit again, so we are in a net P11 right now. Unfortunately, the car wasn't very quick. Normally our car works well on the hardest compound of tyre available, but like I said, the Force India just not working well here. The front end just did not want to go in. I don't know what I did with the setup, but it was just awful. So much so, Brendan Hartley's going to have a go down the inside, and he's breezed straight past me with DRS open, even with the Honda power unit. But it's not a problem. I'll let him go because he's got to pit again. Meanwhile, in the pits, Sainz, Raikkonen, both out on the soft tyre. Both cars that have now made their final pit stop, both cars that now have to try and overtake me on the circuit. I had no issue letting Hartley pass because he's got to make another pit stop. All these other cars, though, are racing for position. So, now we've got Sebastian Vettel up behind us as we go through the Marina Bay section with the hairpin. Vettel on traction, going to get through. Unfortunately, nothing I can really do to fight that. Vettel just blasted past us. Bottas is out of the Grand Prix. He was behind us, so that's not a position we're going to inherit, unfortunately, but a big gun out of the Grand Prix. Now Verstappen's going to try round the outside of me into the right-left section. Perez is in the pits, so we're having to battle basically top runners on fresher soft compound tyres than myself here, but Perez in the pits, so is a Mercedes, so is a McLaren. Perez coming out on the ultra soft tyres, the pit exit very slow, and you're going to see almost like 2018 with Vettel and Verstappen, but we just got ahead of Perez, and so did Verstappen actually. So we're up into 8th place. Ricciardo on the ultra softs, I think he can go to the end of the Grand Prix. Verstappen on the softs, he's definitely going into the Grand Prix, and in fact he's attacking me down Raffles Bulliard there. Let's try and see, can Verstappen get through? He's got through or got ahead, but we're going to lunge it down the inside. Verstappen just turns out the corner. And that allows us to keep P8 there. We are going to battle tooth and nail for this position for the rest of the Grand Prix through the hairpin. This is the weakest section for the car. Look at just the front end not going in. It's probably a combination of carrying too much speed and not having the right setup. Verstappen got the better exit, but he is on the outside for the next right-hander. He pulls ahead initially on braking, but we ease the car in straight down the inside. We might be 2 seconds off the pace, but we're defending 8th place currently.
Looking too warm at this point. We should have plenty of life left in them. Let's make sure we keep managing them properly.
So we're getting the message from Jeff there. We've been on the tyres now for nearly 10 laps, and we've been told about the wear of the tyres. Apparently they should be feeling relatively good. I could argue that point, but nonetheless, I've got Verstappen up my inside into the right-hander. Can we hold it all the way around? We certainly did, but Verstappen with the younger tyres, better chassis, keeps ahead. We're up into hot lap mode. We're in the slipstream. Verstappen is there. Can we pull to the outside? No, because Perez comes out of absolutely nowhere on his ultra soft tyres, and he battles through, passes me. I initially go side by side with my teammate, but then I brake early into the right hand. I think, no, play the team game. Play it a little bit tactical here. Perez could gain some points in the championship, and as long as we both finish ahead of Renault, I think Perez, because he's on the ultra soft tyre, could attack. And come lap 20, he's pulled ahead of Stroll, he's pulled ahead of Verstappen. So that's Perez now up into, what, that's P7? And Stroll ahead of us on the ultra softs. We were battling him earlier in the Grand Prix. We've run very wide through the Singapore sling. That's going to give Raikkonen a sniff, but we go back down the inside, defend against the Iceman, and we're holding up pretty much a train from 10th to last at the moment. This is why I was battling so hard. I had zero pace. Once these guys started getting through, I would just drop all the way down the field as Raikkonen again coming up to attack me around the outside as we go into Sector 3. But again, I just keep placing my car perfectly where I need to. So, with 10 laps to go, 8 laps to go as we cut onto lap 23, we are defending vigorously, using all of our rich mix. Sirotkin's made a pit stop, so both Williams are ahead now, but I think Perez has gone and overtaken Daniel Ricciardo. Another car is in the pits, Brendan Hartley making his second pit stop. This is where he was pitting for the Hypersoft tyre to go to the end of the Grand Prix. And there you go, we're up ahead of him, we're up to P9, that's now 2 points. Now it's Hulkenberg behind me in P10 looking to make an attack. So both Renaults are behind me, and both Renaults are behind Sergio Perez. So that's the point. The Force Indias need to finish ahead of the Renaults as Hulkenberg tries to attack around the outside of the left-hander going into Sector 2. But no, we hang him out to dry on the right-hand side. We are just being a mobile chicane at the end of this Grand Prix. Raikkonen has dropped to the back of the field following an additional pit stop, and he is now setting blistering laps in the 38. That's 4.5 seconds than my best lap. And can Hulkenberg, he's got a huge run with DRS and slipstream, but he wasn't able to pull alongside. And with a couple of laps left to go in the Grand Prix, we have a safety car. And it was really frustrating, the timing of this safety car, because we are literally just past the safety car on circuit. So we now have to do an entire lap to try and close up to the rest of the field. And bear in mind, like I said, we've only got a couple of laps left to go. So safety car was coming in at the end of lap 29. I stuck to a delta. I closed up ahead on the cars ahead, pulled away from the cars behind. But even then, I'm now in no man's land as we end lap 29. Look at my car just sliding all over the place. I've now got zero grip on these soft compound tyres. They are shot to bits. But they're only showing us like 38% worn, as you saw there. But they are definitely not performing very well in this Grand Prix. But anyway, 2 laps to go. 8.2 to Sergei Sirotkin. All the top 8 cars are nose to tail pretty much, with Sirotkin dropping back a little bit. We've got a yellow flag up ahead of us now. In fact, we're up into 9th. Only 13 cars remain in this Grand Prix. Apparently Magnussen's out of the race. We're going to inherit that position. And both Williams! Oh, both Williams are in bits. There's carbon fibre everywhere. As we come into the final sector, both Williams eliminated from the Grand Prix. We're up into P6. What has happened between the Williams and maybe Kevin Magnussen? Because he's the first one to retire from the Grand Prix. There he is, running behind Perez. He's then very slow. Stroll tries to go past him, make contact with the wall, up into the air, and then there's contact between himself, Grosjean, and Grosjean's without his front wing. He carries on. Magnussen's out of the race. He's already retired due to a car failure. Let's look at it from Lance Stroll's perspective now. We're not on board, just a cinematic shot of Stroll. So he comes around the right-hander. Magnussen has an issue. He pulls to the outside. Doesn't read how much room he needs. And then Sirotkin just collects him. Wow. There's Magnussen retiring and Grosjean pulling around the right-hander. Now let's go on board with Stroll. Like I said, I don't think he's just seen how much room he needed between Magnussen, who kept coming across, and there was just a bit of barrier that was coming out more than expected. And there's Sirotkin. Both Williams running in the points, going to be a huge result for them. And they've come together. Let's look at it from Sirotkin's perspective. So he is behind Grosjean. And then you see the incident with Stroll. He sees it, and then just Stroll rolls into his path, basically. Sirotkin doesn't really react to it very well, but that's Sirotkin out of the race. Once more from Grosjean's perspective, who is still in the race, but still has his front wing. What did he collect? Magnussen, he lost a bit of it off the back of Magnussen, and then the rest of it off of Stroll. More carbon fibre just flying past Grosjean, but wow, that is a huge incident just between the AI line. No player impact whatsoever on that one. And we pass Grosjean, and out of nowhere, we've gone from looking like 1 point or 2 points to 10 points in P5. Daniel Ricciardo has won the Singapore Grand Prix. I was bloody hoping he would after a brilliant qualifying. Verstappen's going to finish P4 for the Red Bulls. That means Perez could be on the podium here. We're going to bring it home P5. All the other cars, due to the safety cars, falling a long way behind. Lovely firework graphics, but I can just calmly cruise it now. And out of nowhere, we've gone to P5. And both Force Indias ahead of both Renaults.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Park Fermé.
So here come our winning drivers today, and what a race it was. There's been a big push at the factory lately to get these cars ready, and we can see the fruits of that labour today as Red Bull lift the winner's trophy.
So Daniel Ricciardo for Red Bull, after a two-stop strategy, it appeared to work for the top runners, wins the Singapore Grand Prix ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Sergio Perez gets a magnificent podium for Force India in P3. Then Max Verstappen brings it home P4 for Red Bull. We come from 19th on the grid and a one-stop strategy to P5. Now, granted, we were helped heavily by that penultimate lap crash between both Hasses and both Williams cars there. But that meant Hulkenberg's 6th, Sainz 7th, the two-stop just not working for them. Look at my best lap time, a 1:43 flat compared to everyone else's. Alonso P8 for McLaren, which he got up there. He did eventually start P12, sorry, so Hamilton down in 9th place. He just got caught in the traffic, I think. He was at the back of that train when I was holding up 10th to 16th. Hamilton was the back there. Brendan Hartley finally gets a point for Toro Rosso. They've been on the fringes recently. They finally get a point. Raikkonen with a 3-stopper there in 11th. Charles Leclerc in 12th. And the last recognised finisher, Romain Grosjean, the last recognised finisher of the Grand Prix. Leclerc with the second fastest lap. But after a ridiculous race, all the DNFs, we get to sit down and mull it over with Claire.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
I mean, I was, and I think the one-stop strategy definitely helped with that. But yeah, I'm just going to have to say the power unit is still brilliant in the car.
We all underestimated you, didn't we?
You certainly did. 19th to 5th in a Force India that drove terribly.
That was an epic battle today. How do you think this will play out?
You know, me and Hulkenberg finally clashing on the track, and I like to think this is the battle. In Formula 1.5, this is the battle for the championship.
You had a bit of a rivalry going on, but it looks like he bested you.
And I'll be honest, he did. His strategy worked better. His car was performing better. So, like I said, he just performed better. And apparently that decreases my rep.
Appreciate your time.
So there you have it. The rivalry screen thoroughly thrashed by Sergio Perez in the race. And that means he beats me on that rivalry. But the Hulkenberg rivalry, he has 89 and 15. So that's still quite close. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. In regards to resource points off the back of the Grand Prix, they're very important to us, so we actually need to be stockpiling those because we have a car and we have upgrades that we need to make sure are still applicable for the following season. But a rookie, or we go further up to veteran, a little swing in the way of sportsmanship, and this is how the driver standings now look. So with that finish, I have officially moved into 7th place in the driver's standings. So if this were Formula B or Formula 1.5, we would be leading the Drivers' Championship. That's, of course, if we take away the top 6 there. But Hulkenberg only 2 points behind, and Force India move within a point over Renault for P4 in the Constructors' Championship. That is the season-long battle that I keep referring to, and that is what is important to us following on. But now we have 926 resource points to spend, and we are going to spend those on confirming the adaptation of parts for Season 2. So we're going to get the drag upgrade and the minor front upgrade. We don't have enough resource points to get the major front downforce upgrades. We're going to have to start saving for that one. And then we'll do one of the chassis weight reduction upgrades. So that now means we've got one of those done. And yes, we've only got 4 upgrades left to go for those downforce and the chassis upgrades, and then we essentially are then looking to further upgrade the car. I think I've got a minor power unit upgrade, which is now going to be sitting there for probably a few Grand Prix. I just want to get the aero and the chassis developed for Season 2. But guys, that has been the Singapore Grand Prix. I very much lucked into a decent result there, but I'm not going to complain too loudly because, you know, points mean prizes in Formula 1, and we're finally up to P7 in the driver standings. Leave a like if you did enjoy and comment any feedback down below, and subscribe to be kept up to date with the content coming to the channel. This is one of my least enjoyable Grand Prix, so that's finally out of the way. We move on to Russia, which I enjoy a little bit more, so hopefully we're going to be a bit more competitive and continue our swing of momentum, because that was sheer luck, that Grand Prix, off of that insane crash with the AI. I didn't think I'd see something like that, but yeah, no player influence at all, just the AI went a bit mad. Stroll thought he could get around Magnussen and binned it in the wall and cost Williams a lot of points. But yes, the Russian Grand Prix is up next. That'll be up on the channel by this weekend. Subscribe to be kept up to date, and I will see you all next time.